Sometimes we forget why we're here. It's easy to fall off track. These help us remember.
These battle scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battles.
Growing up, I had a dream, something no one else could see. Tell me what it means when your faith is falling beneath your knees and you can't breathe. Everything you see reminds you of what you're not or something you won't be. You gotta take what you're given, that's how we live it. Don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking like they politicians or choose to be an accountant because it's safe in a business. Not because they wanna do it, just because they heard it pays. And who the fuck wants to be poor knowing that's how we've been raised? Society is getting heavy, I can feel the weight. The pressure of success is like 100 million pounds of shame. And that's the reason I'm staying up late, trying to find a way to escape the stereotypes this day and age is making me feel like the only way I'll be happy is getting signed to a label and making money through rapping. I wanna share my emotion because this world is attacking the very principle of life that lets the people be happy. If you don't have a reason to breathe, why even live? These battle scars are impressions of everything that it is.
Scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battle scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battles.
Now, if I had a voice that reached 100 million people, I'd tell them there's a reason that we're all created equal. Cause some decide to be great and some decide a sequel to an average person's life is simply what they want to be. So you make your decision, all I know is what I'm given. Won't define the life I lead or the way I dwell in existence. I've seen a greater image on the walls of where I'm living, and the words twisted and scripted remind me of something written. Faith is a gift that is given down to the people. If one believes it, one receives it. It's given if it is needed. Don't ever think you're trapped in a life that you never wanted. Your options are infinite, that's some mathematical logic. I'm not saying I'm a prophet, I'm speaking for what it's worth. These lyrics define my prayers and these battle scars on my church. Not saying I'm a prophet, I'm speaking for what it's worth. These lyrics define my prayers, these battle scars on my church.
Scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battle scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battles.
Well, hello everyone. How are you doing? I hope you are having an awesome night. It's been a busy day for me. It's been a busy weekend. We're going to talk about that in a moment. And you notice I moved my little angel guy down so he's in full view. I forgot I had a screw on the wall that was a little bit lower. God, my hair needs to be cut, but I don't have time to do that. But we are repinking it this week. Went out and bought a box of Splat today because I saw this chick at the liquor store who had just the greatest shade of pink. I'm like, what brand are you using? And she said Splat. And I'm like, that's like a Walmart thing. I wouldn't think that would be good, but the pink was perfect. We're going to try Splat on Wednesday, I think is when Wayne is going to pink my hair. Hello, Nathan. Those damn Arizonans. Michael B. and JJ. Oh, and I know Bunchy is still freaked out. I haven't had time to deal with it. Oh, these are all old voting stickers, actually. I don't know if you can see them all. I've got one here. I've got one here. Got that one. But yes, this is the one from this year. We have mail-in voting in Colorado. We have ever since I've lived here. So I voted like 2 weeks ago or whatever. I did a show filling out my ballot. So Wayne was Wayne on that show with me? Yeah, Wayne was on that show with me. So yeah, we do a lot of early voting here. Before we get started, I wanted to do my grifting. Asteros. You can't see that well though. And I don't think I can I move? Here. no, I don't want to over my face, but like maybe right there. There we go. Asteros.com. They are a cyber security services ran by a libertarian. And if you have an online organization or business, they will help you make sure everything's locked down. They also have training for your employees that will, teach them how to avoid common ways, because the human factor is what you can't control. A lot of security break-ins are because one of the humans that work for you or volunteer for you got tricked. At my last job, I had to do this like phishing quiz, I guess. And I'm pretty slick. I know kind of the scams, and one of the questions I failed. So don't be overly confident, because then you might, F around and find out. So go to asteros.com/free, and they will do a free initial surface penetration audit for you. So thank you very much, Zach, for being a sponsor of this show. And along the bottom, of course, is my Patreon and merch and all of that. I need to add more merch. I know that. I've just been so busy. But patreon.com/Pink Flame of Liberty. I would truly appreciate it if you would become a patron of the show. God, I got so many new shirts I want to add. But there's still cool merch, particularly if you wanted to pick up some. Now it's vintage Reno Reset stuff. It's still at my merch store, which is tinyurl.com/Pink Flame merch. But Touch Grass is there. So yeah, there's some good stuff there, but there's more I need to add. I just have not had time. All right, before we get into the history, because this is going to be very short. Remember, we went through the entire September-October LP News issue last show. It was a big one.
That's what she said.
But I had said throughout episodes A through H, I think is how many it took, that there were some things I wanted to follow up on to see if I can find some old newspaper articles that were referenced, because I do have a newspapers.com subscription. Your patronage does help pay for that, because it's like $25 a month, but there's some great stuff on newspapers.com. But believe it or not, I wasn't able to find a lot of the things referenced, and I think it was because it was in smaller, not major newspapers, and I'm sure if I had hours and hours of researching like I did when I just became obsessed with Heritage Park in Castle Rock, that I would have been able to find it. But I did find a couple things we're going to go over today. But before we got to that, just some miscellaneous stuff. I did put up on the LP Historical, it might actually be called Libertarian Party Historical Preservation Committee. It's either called LP Historical Preservation Committee or Libertarian Party Historical Preservation Committee YouTube channel. I did put up my town council Q&A. If you'd like to go watch that, it's interesting. I am the exact opposite of the incumbent who bears the same name as me, Caryn. So it's very, very interesting to go watch. I think both Nathan and JJ have watched it. But what has also been put up on that channel is yesterday's organizing convention of the Free Libertarian Party of New Mexico. Now, they're not an official affiliate yet. That will be voted on at the LNC meeting this upcoming weekend. But I don't see any reason why it won't be approved. The organization went well. There wasn't any funny business going on. Their bylaws are, there's nothing in them for the LNC to be concerned about. There were some decisions made in bylaws that perhaps I might have done differently or others have done differently, but it's nothing that the LNC gets involved in. So it's on, let me look up the name of it, JJ. The exact name. I'm on YouTube here. I think it's called Libertarian Party Historical Preservation Committee. Nathan might be able to stick the channel in chat, because he watches the stuff there. Let me see if I can find it. Libertarian Party Historical Preservation Committee is the name of the channel. And it's got the old school LP logo on it. So the organizing, it's a long video. It's like 3.5 hours long. It's up there. So I don't see any reason why their petition for affiliation would not be approved. It has been turned in. I think it has 18 signatures. They need 10. So, by far has more than the required number of signatures. And interestingly, the 18, which have to be National Party members residing in New Mexico, that's more people than attended Chris Lucchini's last illegal convention. And I think it's right about the same number or less that attended their annual convention. So that's pretty good to, in one night, get that to sign an affiliation petition. Overall, the average number of people at the convention itself was around 38, but that included quite a few guests, probably about 10 guests. So the number was of people that actually could vote was around 28, which is like super good to spend your Saturday afternoon. So go check it out. If you're interested in that sort of thing, you want to sit and watch a convention. The officers that were elected, though they're not called officers in their bylaws, but it's the traditional, what most people would call officers. So the chair is Frank Martin, who was the chair pro tem for the organizing convention and did an excellent job. He did an excellent job. The vice chair is Mike Blessing. Mike Blessing is a former chair of the former affiliate, so he has experience. Rudy Cohn is the secretary, who was also the secretary pro tem for the organizing convention. And Tyler Askin is the treasurer. And Tyler, if y'all might remember, is somebody that I had represented earlier in the year in a dispute with Chris Lucchini. So this has been brewing for a while. And I told Tyler back then he was being too nice, because his goal was just to get along. And I was like, okay, whatever you want to do. And he did not want to challenge the annual convention. And yeah, but I think he's learned. He's such a nice guy. And I hate for nice people to have to learn. They're too nice. But it's a great board that they have. So I am looking forward to working with them. I'm looking forward to voting for their affiliation. But boy, and I didn't see the link either, Nathan, by the way, in my little live screen here. But boy, that was an exhausting journey. There are a lot of behind-the-scenes work went in to getting the organizing convention done. They had to write the bylaws. It was a lot of work that I helped them with. Though all the ultimate decisions were made by the New Mexico people, quite obviously, and those are the ones who voted on everything. But that was a lot of work. I don't even know how many hours we all put into that. So next up is straightening out Virginia, which JJ knows how many hours he's put into that, and that the Virginia people have put into that. And on the LNC end that I've put into that. So crazy, but there's a light at the end of the tunnel, at least with the current controversies, and I hope the bad actors have learned their lesson that we will fight back. If you don't like the current party, then go and do your own thing. Stop trying to ruin, stop trying to shit in everyone else's nest. It's like, okay, so that is that. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I needed to say with that. I don't think so. So we're going to move on to history. Now, I'm going to try to pull up for 1 second. Here is the issue we had went over. And there was one particular story that I'm trying to find. Right there. There was a story, it was about 3 historical episodes ago, that was based on Sandy Cohen uses media. And remember, he had gotten in trouble in New York for selling like lottery tickets in order to fund his campaign. And he felt he was targeted, and it mentioned in there that he got some news coverage over this. So I was able to find that news coverage. There was other news coverage mentioned in some of these other pages, like here. There was an opinion column by someone named Marge Chapman. It was allegedly in the Salt Lake Tribune, which is a paper that is in newspapers.com, but I couldn't find it. So, unfortunately, all we really have to go over, but it is very interesting, is some things that went on with Sandy Cohen in New York. I want to see if I can previous scene. Let me see. Yay, look, I got all my little buttons to work.
That's what she said.
So let's pull up the 2 news articles that I found about Sandy Cohen that are really interesting. And I'm just going to pull them up on the screen so it'll cover my face. But the first one, which wasn't mentioned in LP News, but I just love it when libertarian candidates raise hell, is this right here. Now, it is from a newspaper archive, so I know the picture is really bad. But it's a big sign on the side of a building. And hold on, I need to pull it up on my screen separately because I've got terrible eyes. And I need to enlarge this so I can read it to you guys. I don't know how well you can see it on the screen. So it says, "Stop Big Government, Elect." Oh, and did the volume drop? Somebody tell me. I think it's just you because I'm looking. Let me boost it here. Tell me if this is better. I hit the gain. This should be better. Let me know. I know that it's a little bit of a delay here on YouTube, and I might have pulled away from the microphone a little bit. So it says, "Stop at Big Government, Elect Sanford Cohen to U.S. Congress, Free Libertarian Party." Oh, it's interesting. Free Libertarian Party on that sign, because that is, and I wanted to answer the question in chat about New Mexico. We'll go back to that in a minute. So this was the Free Libertarian Party of New York, and that is where the inspiration was drawn for New Mexico. But on the bottom in the newspaper, it says, Sanford Cohen, congressional candidate of the Free Libertarian Party, who once posed nude in the nude for a poster to make himself known, won't remove this sign from a Wappingers Fall building. So apparently he was getting in trouble for that big ass sign. So that was an interesting story that I found. I have not yet been able to find even a censored picture of him posing in the nude for his campaign. Now, he did have, from what I understand, a fig leaf, let's put it. I don't know what he positioned over the unmentionables, but I know it wasn't completely nude, but it was in the nude with something held, over the jewels. So, but I wish I could find a picture of that. I have not yet been able to find a picture of that, but apparently he got in trouble for that big sign on that building as well. Nathan, a candidate did use, actually it wasn't a candidate, I think it was a state party that was using OnlyFans, but that was last year. I don't really know all the details on that, but let me go back to that question about, Tyler asks, is there any plan to change the name to the LP of New Mexico in a couple years when the other one dissolves? There's no guarantee the other one's going to dissolve. That's not the plan. They are going to be getting sued for trademark violation. And there is a provision in the bylaws and a proviso to the bylaws that talks about them changing their name. So yes, the plan is that they will change their name to the LP of New Mexico once it is legally feasible for them to do so. We have no idea when that will be. But yes, those plans are in the works, but for right now, they are the Free Libertarian Party. And in case they get in trouble for that name until we resolve the trademark issue, if the Secretary of State, when we go to petition, says that name's too close to an existing party, their board has the authority to change the name to something that will be acceptable to the Division of Elections in New Mexico. However, if the name does not contain the word liberty or libertarian, they do have to get approval of the LNC because it is our branding. So, but that authority has been given to their board of directors because there might be decisions that need to be made really quickly on that. So yeah, that's what's going on with that. But now let's put up the article about the lottery, which was the subject of LP News. So I have this here. I don't know what the final resolution of this was. I just kind of wanted to get a little bit of the backstory. And I could tell you why it wouldn't be the New Mexico Libertarian Party. That would be funny. They used to be called the New Mexico Libertarian Party. I've mentioned this before on these history shows, but I know not everyone has watched them all and might not be as fascinated with this trivia as I am. But nearly every state party used to be called the name of the state Libertarian Party. For instance, the Libertarian Party of Colorado used to be called the Colorado Libertarian Party. Our newsletter was the Clipboard for CLLP. But however, nearly all of the affiliates over time have changed their name to Libertarian Party of X, whatever the state is, because it's the way it appears on the ballot. You want the word libertarian to appear first. However, there are still a few that are the name of the state Libertarian Party. Arizona's one. Wyoming is one. Alaska flips back and forth. Like, I think even in their bylaws, it uses both names. So, I don't know. Montana, Missouri, Oklahoma. I think that's it. That still uses the... Utah. I think that's it. And a lot of the ones that do use the old format kind of flip back and forth the way Alaska does. So that's just a bit of trivia that you'll notice in these old LP News, how they're all called. Okay, so here we go. Is it up on the screen? Yes, it is. U.S. files injunction against Cohen's lottery. This is from the September 13th, 1974 Poughkeepsie Journal. So, the Justice Department won a temporary injunction in federal court. I should look up the case. I wonder what the case would be entitled. And I wonder if PACER, which those of you aren't familiar, that's Public Access to Court Electronic Records. I think that's what PACER stands for. But it's a way that you can access nearly any, at least recent federal cases. I don't know how far back PACER goes. It would be interesting to take a look at this case in PACER. But it says, sorry, I just got a little distracted there. The Justice Department ran a temporary injunction in federal court here Wednesday, barring Free Libertarian congressional candidate Sanford Cohen of Poughkeepsie from receiving any mail in connection with his campaign fundraising lottery. This injunction is a result of an administrative proceeding. Interesting, so it might not actually have been in federal court. The injunction was in federal court, but with it being an administrative proceeding, that could be a little weird. Initiated Monday by the U.S. Postal Service. My God, okay. All right, so the Postal Service got mad at Sandy Cohen. And Washington, seeking to permanently prevent Citizens for Cohen. So the case is probably the U.S. Postal Service versus Citizens for Cohen, from receiving lottery-related mail. The temporary restraining order was issued in U.S. District Court by Judge Henry F. Worker at the request of William G. Belain, an assistant U.S. attorney. Belain said the Justice Department is in effect working as an arm of the Postal Service. Ugh. The Postal Service has alleged that Citizens for Cohen violated a 102-year-old federal law which prohibits using the mails to promote or conduct a lottery. Great, a 102-year-old law. Okay. According to Thomas Zybarth, senior attorney. Why do these names all sound made up? Senior attorney with the Consumer Protection Division of the Postal Service. Serving and protecting. Zybarth stressed that the action is a civil administrative proceeding with no criminal implications at all. I want to emphasize this is strictly a duty to enforce the lottery laws and has nothing to do with the other mail which he may be getting. We are not trying to intervene with the, or interfere, with the campaign itself. Yeah, sure. Keep telling yourself that. And the action is only brought because of the lottery law. The injunction will force Cohen, starting today, check this out, to open his campaign mail at the post office under the scrutiny of the postmaster. Fuck you, who is empowered to retain any mail relating to the lottery pending the outcome of the administrative action. If Cohen loses the action, the lottery-related mail is returned to the sender. If the action against Cohen fails, he gets the mail. I'm now really curious how this case turned out. Cohen, who is also under investigation by the Dutchess County District Attorney for a possible violation of state gambling laws related to the lottery, charged today that someone somewhere is putting pressure on these law enforcement agencies to act. I do not blame any law enforcement agency, says Cohen. Well, I'm blaming him 50 years later. A Beacon High School teacher, I didn't know he was a high school teacher. Boy, that nude photo must have raised some eyebrows with him being a teacher. They are acting on a complaint. Their job is to do what they're doing. Oh, just doing their job, huh? Belain disclosed the Postal Service received 3 complaints, one from a corporation in New Hampshire, one from the New York State Police, who first investigated the lottery, and one through Washington, D.C. The identities of the New Hampshire and Washington complainants have not been revealed. Why do I think they might have an R or a D next to their name? I don't know why I might think that. Suspicious little old me. Cohen complained today that there are scores of local private organizations that do the same thing to raise money, and that he has been singled out for harassment. Then why don't you blame them? Oh my God. He said that he will not retaliate by filing complaints against other nonprofit organizations running such lotteries. The candidate recently admitted conducting a fundraising lottery among his supporters as a means of raising a few $100s, but says he discontinued soliciting funds in that manner when questions of legality were first raised. Asked if he thought the lottery controversy would hurt his campaign, Cohen said, "I don't think so. People are pretty sophisticated. If people question anything, it's government trying to stop Cohen's nickel and dime lottery." I agree with him. This is silly and ridiculous. But of course, I think most things that the government does is silly and ridiculous. But I thought that was a really interesting story. So Libertarian candidates have been causing controversy for a while now. So that was really all I was able to dig up for this bonus, but I hope you enjoyed that. So this was just a short little history show, but we are done with the September-October issue just in time to go into the November-December one, which will be starting next week, probably. Remember, I am getting started, well, more than getting started. I spent hours today doing prep work for the LNC meeting next weekend. So I'll be doing a lot of that, but I'll still try to do shows. I always do. I do have an issue of ballot access news. I was speaking with Nathan that I'd like to cover, if it doesn't turn out to be too boring, the recent RNC case where the RNC, and I don't know anything about it. So I have no opinion on this case, whether it has merit or not. The only opinion I have is that it's interesting, and it's probably worth us covering. The RNC is alleging that Google is falsely flagging their fundraising emails in the last week of each month as spam, meaning they deliver emails to the exact same addresses in all but the last week of the month, and that all of these people have opted in to these emails. So these aren't spam. These are people that opted in. This is at least what they're alleging. I don't know the truth of any of this. I'm just saying what they're alleging. So if you see accusations, not even the right word. I know as libertarians we don't like the duopoly, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't represent their complaints fairly. Because there was a comment earlier today, no reason to mention names or anything, is go, oh, the RNC is literally complaining about spam. No, they're not. That is not a fair way to characterize what they're saying. Now, what they're saying may be untrue, but we don't know that yet, unless fairly characterize what their claim is, because this can easily happen to libertarians. Be fair. Have the complaints of even your opposition represented and treated in the way that you would like to be treated, because I could see Google doing this to us. So let's be fair in our representations, please. So I think that would be interesting. I'd like to perhaps go through the complaint. We'll see. And if there's interest in that. You know, we got to catch up with our commie friends at the People's Party, too. And I would like to start talking about the Forward Party. So there's a lot to do. I have gotten a lot of clips also from various shows I would like to critique. And I found out the hard way that when I watch a YouTube show that I'm like, oh, I would like to cover that on my show, download it right then. Because when I went to my watch later list, 3 videos had since been removed. So they must have been juicy that whoever originally put them up, because I don't even remember now, removed them. So I learned the lesson. When I see something I want to cover, download it now, because it might not be there when I go back to it. So yeah, everyone deserves their day in court. Even the commies. I'm not saying the GOP's commie. I'm just saying the GOP does. The Democrats do. Even the commies do. So, you know, we shouldn't have knee-jerk reactions just because it's someone we might not agree with in other areas. And I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, I think so. But I think there was something else with getting ready for the LNC meeting, but I can't remember what it is. So that will be I'm now going to try to figure out, Wayne and I need to try to figure out where we left off on The Handmaid's Tale. That's something we were watching on Hulu, but we like watch an episode like every 2 months, and then we forget where we left off, and we took that time off to watch House of the Dragon, which just... it turned out to be a yawner to me. I know a lot of people really like that series, but I stopped covering it because it just wasn't interesting enough. It's not that it was a bad show, but when there's a show that I won't cry if I don't see it again, it's not worth me spending my time on. It was decently done, but to me... nothing to get super, super excited about. Nothing like the original Game of Thrones. All right, guys. So I'm going to get going. Oh, look, my nail polish matches this shirt pretty well. Anyway, I get so easily distracted. I'll see you guys hopefully tomorrow. And trying to find my cursor. Oh, there it goes. And I hope you have an awesome night. Bye-bye.
take what you're given, that's how we live it. Don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking like they politicians and choose to be an accountant because it's safe in a business.